Welcome back to ThreadWatch. Have you been keeping up? Huge Sega-related tech scoop. Apparently Famitsu tech journalist is teasing a huge scoop related to Sega which will be published on June 4, Sega's 60th anniversary. They're saying it will rile up the games industry and be on the level of Wired PS5 article. Post your hopes and expectations of the revolutionary news. It's gonna be Susaning Sonic again, isn't it? Sonic isn't tech related and he sure as hell doesn't rile up any industry anymore. Dreamcast 2 baby. Sega has a majority of games in development exclusively for TakeTwo's console. There's your scoop bro Dreamcast Mini. If something is too good to be true, it usually is. It's probably nothing. Even if it is something, it won't be a new console, probably some VR gimmick Susan. Sega Model 4 baby. Sega gaming phone. Yeah, right. Sega doesn't have the cash for anything these days. Who wants to bet this is some peripheral that's destined for the way of the uDraw? That said, if they made a new console or some Susan, I'd probably buy it. Just for old times' sake. The journalist in question claims to have talked to executives and technical staff. If it was about acquisition or merger or whatever, technical staff wouldn't be involved. New arcade hardware is probably the safest bet. Famitsu is a Japanese company, so they're pretending the sex specs don't completely Susan all over the PS5. Microsoft is buying Sega and launching it as the Series X in Japan. Would that shake up the industry though? Then again, maybe the guy is exaggerating for attention. That's likely, if anything even. Probably going to be something on par with next-gen consoles where they stuff a Ryzen 3700X and some RDNA 2 card in it. But it seems too soon, since they released something for that new HOTD game back in 2018. But because it's a cabinet, Sega will have no problems selling it. Too bad they will get back in the console market. At best, they maybe do some sort of Steambox concept. Saturn 2. Sonic Mania 2. Be on the level of Wired PS5 article. So non-existent. Ever see Japanese riots? You will if that happens. Microsoft had no business entering console gaming and Japan still feels that way. Sega Arcade UFO Catcher 2. Microsoft officially marketing the new Xbox as the next Sega console in Japan. That would be one of the coolest, most interesting things to happen in the video game industry in decades. I can just imagine it, a slightly remodeled console design with Sega's logo instead of Xbox, and the startup would be different as well. That would literally be the only possible way for MS to get a major foothold in Japan. The Xbone completely destroyed any goodwill, no matter how small, that the Xbox brand had in Japan, so it's not like MS would lose anything by not plastering their name all over it. Sega Pico 2. SEGA's finally going to make Miku real. Game Gear 2. Nobody made an arcade spec based on a console since Namco did for some Tekken game with the PS3 hardware. They are all running PC parts with Windows or Linux as an OS. Every last arcade machine. Alien soldiers coming back, let's Susaning go. Sega Channel, it's gonna be a Sega Ages Netflix-type service that has CL Susanage Sega controllers sold in stores intended for smart TVs, phones, but they will work with PC also. It's planned to start with Master System, Genesis, arcade games, and it will come with the option to buy games instead of paying monthly for them. It's Sega Channel. Partnership with Muz. Subscription-based cloud gaming on Azure. Monthly sub but included with Game Pass. Screen cap this. Sega is worth $3 billion. MS spent $2 billion on Minecraft. I don't think it will happen, but I could see the logic, especially to fill out the Game Susan catalog. YFW, it all turned out to be a marketing scheme to get hyped for a Famitsu article and nothing significant happens. New Sega console with all their arcade games on it. Wouldn't even be that difficult or expensive. You can emulate the games on toasters with Techno Parrot. Sega was so cutting edge back in the 90s that they did the whole stream video games over the internet thing on the Genesis. That was the only way to play Mega Man, Wily Wars and Pulseman in North America. Basically the reason why the USA has cable internet infrastructure. was a subscription service through cable that included a modem cartridge to download games from a monthly rotating list. Game P. Susan is not new. Sega Regenesis. Why do people keep thinking Microsoft is going to buy Sega? Sega's IP don't have broad appeal, and Sega initially positioned their IPs exclusively on Xbox, which didn't sell well. Great games, but the games weren't financially viable. Crazy Taxi 3, Jet Set Radio, Sega GT didn't meet great sales. And none of the franchises fit Microsoft's portfolio of studios. Then there's also all of the Susanettes Sega owns, including pachinko, slot machines, amusement parks, arcades, and restaurants. Microsoft isn't going to want to take ownership or oversee any of that business. And Sega isn't going to sell any of their IPs when they make a good amount of their money from their back catalog. What if it's some modular VR arcade? That is some sort of cabin used as cockpit and a massive physical dashboard with modifiable wheels, joysticks. Sega is going to re-enter the pinball industry. Anyone remember last year there was a rumor around TGS that Sega are working on a new premium home arcade system where you buy the cabin system off them directly and it comes with their backlog of arcade releases. And how it'd have add-on packs like a driving setup that came with the racing games. Yeah, I'm expecting this Susan will be some 1.5K MAME setup effectively, but with nicely designed panels, a good UI. If the add-ons to let you make it a full-on racing cab with the appropriate seating, wheel, pedals, and stick accordingly, that'd be neat though. Besides fanboyism, why would you think that would be a bad idea? They basically get their own console without any R&D costs. I would guess they would still be releasing games on PC, which is their most profitable system. Besides no longer getting the Nintendo market, which I'm not sure was even that big, I honestly see it as a win-win for them. Sonichu game. Most games still in console beta test get released on PC, like Catherine Full Body and Persona 5 New Total War, New Streets of Rage riding the success of Last minute approval, Skies of Arcadia sequel, Sega Saturn Mini with translations of games never before released in the West, Phantasy Star Generation 3 and IV, with official translation of First 2, open world Sonic game that has been in development since Sonic Force's new Sonic cartoon series, Sonic movie sequel announced by Jim Carrey, Sonic Mania 2. Year of Sonic Lads. New Crazy Taxi. I wonder what they would use for the soundtrack. I really want to see Sega self-destruct though. They don't deserve their own legacy. They've killed almost everything good that they've ever had. Microsoft is just a slightly less evil version of EA. When any of these buys a studio, you know very well what they are going to do with them. Do people actually get excited for leaks and rumors in the gaming industry these days? Like a grown man, woman, other gleefully getting all riled up over news that a new insert product here is being developed or released at insert timeframe here. Why? I've been gaming my whole life, but I was never one of the people chomping at the bit for every shred of news, so I shouldn't really comment. Though it just seems silly. People never learn with Sega. Their last big thing they teased from a couple weeks ago turned out to be a Susaning wallet that said Sega 60th anniversary on it. Susans were saying it was going to be VF6 or a Saturn Mini. Before that, all their announcements were garbage mobile ROMs and emulators, and one was, we changed our logo to an eyeball. Sega is over and they're the last ones to know it. Not to mention how they have been infiltrated by feminists, SJWs, or well, maybe just good old Puritans. Pick-related was Orchid's Killer Instinct retro costume before Microsoft forced Double Helix to change it last minute. Details about The Last of Us 2 got leaked and everyone got upset and ended up buying a Switch and Animal Crossing New Horizons instead. If Sony is buying Sega Sammy, alongside Konami, D4, Compile Heart and Falcom, then that will get me to buy a PS5 with very healthy Japanese support. A lot of Sega's games as of late have been co-funded by Sony as of late anyway. If it's Microsoft, then it will help with the Japanese market badly. Sega Sammy's worth $5 billion alone. Konami is expensive as Susan because they are one of the top gambling machine suppliers globally. Compile and Falcom are way too niche when they are already downscaling Studio Japan's role. There's no chance. Even Microsoft's not interested in buying publishers. Thanks for watching, see you on the boards.